Hello, happy Black History Month, and welcome to Celebrating Black Tech in Ohio. I am Tanja Coverdale, and I am AVP of Finance Technology at Nationwide, and I'm located in Central Ohio. Joining me today are several of Ohio's finest Black technologists, and I'm so excited to be here with all of them. In the next few moments, you'll get a chance to meet each and every one of them, and we'll get a chance to hear about their career journeys and their thoughts about Black tech in Ohio. This is such a special conversation for me and for all of us because as we reflect on Black History Month, we reflect on all the many contributions that African Americans have had across all of our history and throughout our country. And today we're going to have a specific focus on Black tech contributions here in Ohio. This is particularly important because, as we know, most of the year we focus our conversations on Black tech around diversity, equity, and inclusion, really citing the lack of Black technologists in the field. But here today, we're going to talk about our very own Ohioans who are not only furthering Black technology in Ohio and in the United States, but making Black history and herstory ourselves. So first, I'd like to say hello to everyone. So hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Everyone's here. I like to go around really quickly, and if we could just do a quick round robin and say your name, your current role, and where you are located in our great Buckeye state. So we'll just go counterclockwise, starting with Al Green.
Yes, hi. Great to be here. My name is Albert Green. I'm located in Kent, Ohio. I'm founder and CEO of AMG Consulting Group.
Thank you for joining today. Moving on to Doug.
Oh, I don't know your counterclockwise. I'm Doug McCullough. I am Chief Information Officer of the City of Dublin and CEO of Color Coded Labs. I am a Columbus person, but I actually live in Renton, Ohio. Nice to see everyone.
Good to see you too, Doug. All right. Hi, Jay.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Jariatu Mansaray. I am a product consultant for Industrial Logic and a co-founder and the interim executive director for Black Tech Columbus.
Okay. Thanks so much. Danielle?
Good afternoon. My name is Danielle Sullivan. I am the Regional Data Center Coordinator for the East region of Meta, formerly known as Facebook, if you aren't really sure, because some people don't know. And I'm located in New Albany, Ohio.
Thank you. Jerry.
Hello, everybody. Jerry Valentine, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, currently located in Columbus, Ohio, where I am the founder and CEO of a startup called Renter Mentor.
Thank you. And finally, our friend Irvin.
Good afternoon. My name is Irvin Rodgers. I am the current Chief Information Officer for Designer Brands, which encompasses many familiar with DSW, Vince Camuto, several other brands. I have been a native of the Columbus, Westerville area for approximately 17 years, but originally moved here from Michigan. So happy to be here and looking forward to the discussion.
Wonderful. Thank you. And as you can see, we're located all throughout the state. So we've got representation from Cincinnati, Central Ohio, Northeast Ohio, and definitely not a shortage. There's a whole bunch more, but I can only get 6 to fill this hour with me. So thank you again. So let's dive right into it. Let's talk about your career journeys. And I know we've got such great, rich, wonderful stories here. So I'm just going to pick a name to keep it spicy. Let's start with Jay. Let's talk about what you do and what led you to this point.
Oh, wow. I was hoping I wouldn't get picked first, but here we are. So I started my career in technology, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago now, at a local tech boot camp. And during the course of that boot camp, had the opportunity to meet a lot of great mentors within the Central Ohio area, some of the panelists being some of them. So started a boot camp and got a lot of experience bouncing around at different companies around Columbus, Ohio, and eventually found my niche in product, which is what I work in now. So currently serving as a product consultant, helping companies through their agile journeys, their agile transformations, and also establishing proper product strategy and practice. So.
Wonderful. Okay. What about you, Jerry?
Yes. So, like I said earlier, I'm the founder and CEO of Renter Mentor. And what we do is help connect people to affordable housing and other supportive resources. We have three primary services that work encompasses. That first is providing technical assistance, working with landlords and tenants. And if they are connected to different programs like Section 8 or dealing with the local shelter, we provide that assistance to help the landlord and the tenant through those processes and make sure that the housing is successful. We also do rental assistance administration. So a lot of the dollars that you've been seeing being announced, we've been able to get our hands on and distribute money to Franklin County residents through a couple different funding pools. One local through the city of Columbus, and then the program ODJFS through the state of Ohio. And then the third service is advocacy and education, where we do a number of different workshops and educating around city codes and fair housing rights. How I got into that work was I started working at the Housing Authority, the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority here in Columbus. And really, that was my introduction into that, the industry in that way, where I really got to learn about not only the Section 8 program and how that business and administration process worked, but also the different barriers that came along with that when it came to the tenants and the landlords in that space. And also as a worker, I was seeing how those kind of lack of technology needs, the updating of those processes, where those gaps were. And, long story short, just really got immersed into the problem, pitched my business at some hackathons just to, literally just an idea form, just to see what it was, do some validation, and then just kind of took off from there. So I was officially been in business since January of 2020. So we are a true pandemic business. And it just has been the right time, just due to the economy and the nature and the need for, one, the highlight of the exacerbation of the affordable housing crisis, not just locally, but also just nationwide. And then the need for contactless processes because of the pandemic. So it's really been a good learning opportunity and experience to be a founder, especially in this industry where, it's been a true long time coming for updating and, assessments and integration with technology. So that's how I got here.
So we've only talked to two of our panelists here, and I don't know about you all, but I'm already blown away by both of your stories. And I'll pause here for a second just to kind of recap what I'm hearing. We've got Jay, who's got an amazing career in the agile space, really working in that product ownership. And we also have Jerry, who is a totally different technologist, right? So there's diversity within the diversity. And that's one thing that I really want to point out is that we're in many, many spaces. And for example, Jerry's focusing on social technology. That's how I would kind of classify that, is really taking a need of our community and overlaying the technological skills that you have to help fill that need. So I really love that. Thanks so much. All right, let's circle to Danielle.
Thank you very much, Tanja. My title seems a little strange, but it's a very busy title. Regional Data Site Coordinator for Meta. I'm based out of New Albany, Ohio, and that is one of our data centers that we have. So if you're not familiar with what a data center is, if you are one of our users of Facebook Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus, Workplace, Blue Jeans, and more. We are one of many places throughout the world that keep those servers safe, secure, and up and running 24/7. My job is to actually oversee the operations and the culture actually at that site. And then I also have an additional job of the East Coast data centers. Any site coordinator that is in that space, I oversee and help them out with any of their needs that they have as well at their lovely locations. So we are growing. It is very interesting because this job, I've been in operations primarily. This is my first tech industry job. However, I have to have my hands in absolutely everything from rack landings to making sure that the lights are on. When we had the snowstorm that hit Central Ohio last week, I was on the phone with different people throughout the country to make sure that we had people that were going to be able to arrive safely in order to make sure that the place was still going to be secure, that we had people who were watching and working on those servers at all times. And then also because it was 24, we're open 24 hours, that their needs are met as well. The one thing I do like working for Meta, we have a lot of information in the news, but they take care of us internally. This month, we're celebrating Black History Month to the biggest degree possible. And I wish I could share all of that information, but all of my colleagues would probably come and get me after this recording. But they make sure that they take care of the whole person and give us every resource that we could possibly have in order to focus on our jobs. And that's to keep that internet up and running for everybody that uses it, and to also keep it secure. So we're ever learning, ever collaborative. But our primary function, at least on my level, is to make sure that the operations of that site is healthy and ready to go and secure for everybody that is using our services.
And yet another industry, right? So we have Danielle that's really focused on data center operations, but for something that many of us use infinite times a day. Social media is touched by almost everyone on this planet, and we have our very own Danielle here in Central Ohio, not only influencing what happens here in Ohio, but she mentioned the East Coast. So our reach goes beyond Ohio, and that's definitely worth celebrating. Okay, Albert.
Hello, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I guess I'll work backwards in my journey. I'm currently the founder and CEO of a consulting practice called AMG Consulting Group. I founded that in 2019, and we're really focused on technology commercialization and really go-to-market strategies for innovation-based businesses. If I work backwards from that, prior to that, I was the CEO of a company called Kent Displays. We created a line of consumer products in a new product category called e-writers. And we sold under our brand called Boogie Board. And we sold into retail, so the Walmarts and the Costcos and Sam's Clubs and Targets and stuff like that. In addition, we sold a lot of product abroad. So when I joined Kent Displays in 2007, we had probably about 10 or 15 people. And then when I left in 2018, I had about 120. So it was interesting growth going through. We were sort of in the millions of units per year kind of thing, consumer products, sort of the $20 to $40 price point, so on shelf. Prior to that, I was in the Washington, D.C. area, and I worked at a company called Science Applications International Corporation. So that's a large multinational technical services company. I did that for about 15 years, from 1993 to 2007. Then prior to that, I'm a physicist by training. So my PhD is in physics. So I started my career as a bench scientist in the early 90s. After finishing my PhD, I did my PhD out of Stanford in the Bay Area. So that's a little bit of my journey.
So let me acknowledge Dr. Green. That's what I'm going to do here now. I mean, I've never really met a real physicist, but a Black physicist is blowing my absolute mind, Dr. Green. So thank you so much for joining us. And I love that you're bringing, again, yet another level of diversity in our circle here, focusing on consulting. So when we think consulting, we usually think of the larger firms, but there are Black consulting firms focused on technology right here in Ohio. And Dr. Green is the CEO of one of them. So thank you so much. Okay, let's move on to Mr. Irvin Rodgers.
Hi there. So, I think now I know what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a doctor because I'm not only covered by Dr. Green, but I'm also covered by our host, Dr. Tanja Coverdale. So shout outs to the doctors. I'll have to parlay my master's in computer science into something along those lines. So I work for designer brands. I'm blessed to enjoy what I do. I'm a very passionate leader. I believe that the energy that you put out is the same energy that is contagious. People want to vibe onto that. Just here recently, I finished a 7.5-year stint with the state of Ohio, culminating that last position of state of Ohio state CIO. So OHIO is something that I totally embraced. I don't think I've said that in the last 7 months. It is something that I align myself to with 3 kids that have successfully graduated from the Ohio State University, with a junior at OSU currently. So technology has always been at the heart of what I am most passionate about. Kind of stumbled into it. I didn't take the traditional path. Many people would be surprised to hear that I was actually a teenage father. And so it's possible by all stretch of the means. It's just a matter of having that tenacity and that drive. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about working with the boot camps, mentoring, giving back, pulling people up, versus just kind of continue to blaze a trail. I think you have to have a circle of trusted, what I call and what Dr. Coverdale calls is a trusted circle of CIOs. That is a brotherhood, a sisterhood that only a few of us really understand, sitting in that particular seat. While I'm at the shoe factory, which is affectionately known as DSW, many people know our brands, but I've gotten the exposure to not only understand the shoe from how it's manufactured, designed, all the way to picking the designs a year in advance, all the way to reaching the stores, taking it off the semi, putting it on the sorter, putting it on the shelf for the customer to go find, whether that be in our stores or make sure that product is available via our application, on our digital website, all the way to getting that shoe to the foot. It has been a fantastic opportunity to learn how much technology and innovation is behind, making sure that we are putting our best foot forward, literally, with technology in mind. So it is an absolute pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. Thank you.
So we have Irvin in retail and state and all the things that he's done. And what I really love about Irvin's story, and I never get tired of hearing it, is how accessible he makes being a technology executive. And so we'll talk about that later on in our talk, but just how it's not a magical path for only a chosen or certain few. It is accessible to all of us. And there's so many of us here in this room and rooms beyond this room that are willing to help others to come along the same path. So, Ervan, thank you for sharing yourself with all of us. And finally, Doug McCullough.
Yeah, thanks. And Tanja, I want you to know, giving me the opportunity to go last after this bunch of rock stars is something that I will never forgive you for. Ever. So I'm just a guy. I don't know. I will tell you, like a lot of other people's stories, I came into technology having been doing something else. And that's the core of my story, because I meet people who, technology seems like a black box to a lot of people. It seems like magic to people. And especially among Black and brown people, don't see representation in the industry, and as a result, don't head into the industry. I was a musician. I went to Berklee College of Music, majored in jazz composition, played piano with a principal instrument of voice, and then I had 2 kids, and I needed to do something else. So I wasn't a teenage father, but I was a young father. And my kids were the best thing that happened to me. They drove me to take a sober-eyed look at what the world was doing, where it was kind of going. And I was fortunate to be kind of steered towards technology. I got to finish my undergraduate degree at the University of Toledo, and I came to Columbus. And I will tell you, what I used to do is just pure technology. I've been in software development. I've been in network management. I've been a CIO. I've been a manager of people, a manager of projects. And that's what technology used to be to me. And as a sign of what the industry and how it is changing, technology is now about talent and skills. And I've learned a lot of that as the CEO of Color Coded Labs. But my story about coming into technology, picking up some skills and adding value to the industry is what I do now. As a technology leader, you find yourselves trying to help people understand that whatever you were doing or have been doing, take a look over here at this industry. Because if you don't know anybody who's gone into technology, it just doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? And that's why representation matters so much. And I spend a lot of time talking to people about different skill sets. I've been a PMP, I'm a project manager, and I found early on I have a skill for people and working with people. So I'm a manager of people in technology. That's my niche. And as a result of that, I have a lot of conversations with people about this industry. Like Irvin, I've been in state government for a long time. Municipalities, I was a IT director in the city of Richmond, Virginia for 18 months before coming to the city of Dublin and becoming the CIO there, learning about smart cities, smart mobility, all the buzzwords and all those things. But at the end of the day, our industry is enormous. There's a million different things you can do just within technology. And our people are very unaware of the amount of opportunity, money, stability, just wealth building opportunities that are here. And quite frankly, I've dedicated my life to helping people understand what is here, what's out here. And I think I would venture to guess that all of us have some survivor's guilt, where you say, I left a neighborhood of people who don't know that they could be right here just like me. And so that's kind of what I'm about at this point.
So I love that because it dives right into where I wanted to go. And Doug and I have mental telepathy. I think he knew that. But a lot of times we don't find representation, which is why it was so important to get us all in the room to have this conversation. Doug teed it up. It's just open for the group. What do you wish that our community, our African-American Black community, knew about technology and technology careers?
I'd like to take that one first. It's something I hadn't touched on in the introduction, but the opportunities, especially Ohio is seeing right now, is absolutely rapid. And I can speak from my point of view because I've been affected by big tech and work for big tech now. So it's not like a Color Coded Labs and things like that too. But because of Meta, I was aware of a lot of different opportunities. The first time I leaned in with them is because they came in and did a community boost in Central Ohio for 3 days, 3 business days. It was free. And it showed people how to support their businesses, make their own ads, and that it took a nominal fee in order to do that on their platforms. And I was like, okay, this is exciting for me because I had a little dog treat business and I thought, oh, I'd lean into it. But when I went in, I met lots of people who looked like me, who were going for the same things. But I saw that this big tech company was actually in my backyard and they put a lot of thought into it. From my perspective, there was food there that were from local businesses. Then they brought out local politicians that told us how they made this decision on bringing this program there. And then on top of that, they brought out Sheryl Sandberg to talk to us. All of this was free. We were right on top of her. And then she brought out 3 minority-owned businesses. 2 of those businesses out of the 3 were owned by Black people that she had on their business council for Central Ohio. and that she knew every inch of their business, and they had advertised with Facebook for years. So that made me lean in to kind of see what they were doing. And then they announced, oh, yes, by the way, we're building something in your guys' backyard. Stay tuned. And it was some years later that I got my job with them, but it led me to start looking for other opportunities that are free in our city. And Jerry's going to know where I'm going next, because then Google partnered up with Columbus Techstars and brought a free weekend for business owners or anybody that wanted to do a tech hack. And that's how I met Jerry Valentine. And in 52 hours, me and our team was very diverse, Jerry, wasn't it not? All minorities. We built an app, and the main engineer was a Black man, in 54 hours. And we came in third place in front of the Ohio State University and vice presidents from Google. I never knew any of that was possible, but it was the free opportunities that Black tech put in our own backyard that brought me to this space, because I knew it was possible. And when the job was open, I already knew that they cared about my city. My job now is to make sure that I do the same thing on behalf of Meta. That's part of my job, is to make sure that I'm out in the community and I connect with Color Coded Labs, that I connect with Renter Mentor, and so on and so forth, and at least make sure that I can show Meta their value in what they're doing in my backyard. So say what you want about big tech. We're not nonprofit, no, but my company is definitely making sure that they give opportunities to small business owners, and definitely the minority and Black owned businesses. And that's not just talk. The proof is in the pudding. You can see it. So my encouragement to anybody that's watching is, how do I start looking for those opportunities? Start coming to the job fairs. There's lots of them. In New Albany alone, you've got Google, Amazon, Facebook. Now we just heard about Intel coming, right? All of those things, that whole road is lined up with those companies. There's opportunities there. And if you can't actually have a job in tech, why not build those tech places? Are you somebody who keeps the lights on? Are you somebody that keeps the pipes running? It's all about that. Again, remember, I'm site operations, I'm site health. All of those people are important. So we do need more minorities. They're begging for it. My leadership is begging for it, from the top all the way down here to New Albany. But just look for the opportunities of why those folks are in your community, why Techstars is out there. How did Jerry Valentine get his start? Why Color Coded Labs is actually out here doing what they're doing. There's a reason for it, so you can find an opportunity.
I love that. I don't know who wants to jump in after Danielle, but I've got chills after hearing her.
I would just one thing I would add really quickly is, I think you were talking about minorities and Blacks in tech and so on. I think one of the things is to really watch out for the kind of the stereotypes that are out there. I mean, when I introduce myself, I have a PhD in physics, but we're not just all pointy head, men and women that are in the lab. I mean, I ran a company for a dozen years. I put products on the shelf at Walmart. I mean, I have a consulting practice, and I think that the important thing is to recognize the breadth of opportunities that are available for technologists, and if everything from leading operations to new product development to working in a laboratory and stuff like that. And I think that people a lot of times just sort of pigeonhole, well, if you're a technologist, you never talk to people, you sit in the back room and type on a computer. And I think that's just wrong. I think technologists have lots of opportunities to do all kinds of things if you're grounded in STEM. I think that's really important. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Hey there, this is Irvin. The one thing that I would just quickly add on to that is that I think that the heart of the question was how do you help others to realize that they all can also be CIOs. And a big part of what I believe in is the mentoring aspects, making myself available on Saturday mornings, talking to kids where they are. Recently, I did a TEDx where I actually shared one of my alter egos, which I'm a professional DJ. it is a way to connect with kids, right? So in their minds, they do think it's the pointy head, or the nerd. But I'm trying to help them to understand that you can be cool. Now, don't ask my kids if I'm cool, because they'll tell you something different. But being able to understand the latest and greatest, music and all the various genres, that crosses over. You meet them where they are. Right now, I have the pleasure of being a part of Handshake of America, where I'm actually mentoring high school students. We did that through a number of various forms, but I always believe that you have to go back. My turning point for me was, I'll never forget, it was going from the 8th grade to the 9th grade, and someone came to speak, and it was just a basic, to them, 15 minutes of their life, but it was life-changing for me, because I saw someone that looked like me, that gave me the thought, wow, I want to be like that. And so continuing to see people like that, to inspire the younger generation, I think is critical and key, through all of the vast talent that you have on this forum. Dr. Coverdale, that's how we met, right? We met at Central State University, where we were trying to find a way to resource that talent, that untapped talent pool. We were able to hire some folks, at the state of Ohio, who have gone on to do great things, right? So I'm super proud of that young man. I'm still in contact with Andre Love. He's doing the darn thing, right? So
I love it. And Irvin and panel, I really want to touch on what you talked about, because the biggest, I think, elephant in the room is oftentimes we're the only one in the room. And I mean, I can't count how many times more times I'm the only one in the room than not. So how do we, or what advice do you have for young African Americans, or even other African Americans who are looking to get into the tech career, or who might be put off by the tech career because they don't see representation? How do we get over that hurdle?
So I'll kick that one off. So it's funny that this is a question. I actually met Doug when he was speaking at an analytics conference early in my tech career. Was at this analytics conference, hundreds of people, a handful of people of color. Like I could probably count on 2 hands in all those rooms how many Black people were at that conference. But at the end of Doug's talk, A, I was surprised to see that the CIO of Dublin was a Black man. And B, his talk just in general was moving, right? Very informative, very energetic. And so after that talk, I went and approached Doug and I was like, hey, I really enjoyed your talk, and I'd really like to sit down over a coffee and talk more about tech. Because like I said, I was early in my career and I really didn't. And the more that I worked in it, the more I realized there was so much that I didn't know. And that conversation that I had with Doug is one that we had with different people over a course of about, say, a year or two. And that was really the culmination of Black Tech Columbus and why we founded it, because we realized that in a lot of the spaces that we existed in, we were one of a few, if not the only, but the actual Black tech community in the Central Ohio area was extremely vast and very large. And over the course of less than 2 years, we, I believe, built a community of almost 2,000 Black technologists just in Central Ohio, people who are actively working in technology or interested in working in technology. So I say that to say, find those events, attend those events. I know with COVID, things are virtual, but when there are opportunities to attend them in person, attend those events and say hello. Like, push yourself past your comfort zone and say, hi, my name is. And I think a lot of times there's feelings of imposter syndrome, or I don't know what I'm talking about, or I don't know enough of what I'm talking about to speak to someone, or that person has a big title, or I don't know who they are. But what I think people find is when you do push yourself past that level of discomfort, you realize that the other people in the room are just as eager to make that connection as you are. And so really do put yourself out there, because as impersonal as tech seems, or as impersonal as it has a reputation to be, it's actually a very personable industry, and it is an industry full of people who are looking to connect on a deeper level than just on paper or on a computer.
Yeah, and I want to plus one what Jay is saying there. As we organize Black Tech Columbus, one of the things that we have learned, I think we all know here, there's a lot of Black people in technology. And all of us on this panel are pretty privileged in that we have the space in our career to speak at an Ohio X event and be representative. But most of us are just working, and that's a good thing and everything, but it's really hard to be that representative in everything. So as a community, we need to begin to or continue acting as a community and not heroes in the C-suite, not super representative. Nothing wrong with it. We're all, I embrace the responsibility, but we need to, as a community, show up so that people can see us, including those who think tech is pencil-headed, nerdy, blurty, kind of a thing like that.
So, Doug, I love your call out, and then Albert, I'll let you jump in, but I just really love how you said there are so many more of us. That is the punctuation mark that I want to put right there. You're seeing 6 of us. Multiply that by thousands. There are so many more, and that's what I wanted to celebrate today in Black Tech. And that's why I wanted to have you here so that everyone knows, without a doubt, have no questions. There are so many Black technologists here in Ohio, and we deserve the space to be celebrated. Albert?
Yeah, so I'll be really quick because I think Jerry's going to jump in. I want to make sure he gets, so I'll hand it right to Jerry. But the one thing I would say is, most of us, as we have said, are, a lot of times, if not all the time, and in my case, it's pretty much all the time, are the only Black person in the room. And I would say this, though, you can use that to your advantage, because the fact of the matter is, when I give a talk or when I'm in a room and with a bunch of, technologists, CEOs or whatever, I'm the only one. And people remember Al. I don't remember. And it's hard sometimes because they'll remember me and I don't remember them because, you don't want to say that it looks the same, but it's just there's an advantage because your people won't forget meeting you, although you might forget meeting them, and which can be embarrassing at that. But I want to hand it to Jerry because I didn't want to make sure.
Excuse me. No, Al, that I'm just really just listening to everyone's story is I just think that it was only right that I ended this question, because to tie it all together, my kind of tie to the tech industry before becoming a startup founder was simply as a STEM advocate. I knew the importance of just having the STEM mindset and what that could take you, the possibilities that it could do. So that was how and why technology focused, and, I was STEM minded in my workplace because of that, and was able to find a problem and see how technology could be coupled with that and so on. But because I'm not a non-technical founder, I did not have the skill sets to execute my idea really, like I knew what it needed to do, but I did not have the skills to do it. So a big part of the reason why, to go back to meeting Danielle, was I knew I had to be around, I need to find skill, I need talent to execute that. And the best way that I knew was I was on Eventbrite and I was finding, Startup Weekend, and that's how I found the free event. And that free event led to, I literally came there. I knew I had an idea, but this event was literally a test run to see how that worked, because I've never did a hackathon before or anything like that. So I was like, let me see how this works, and then, move forward. Ended up, Danielle said it, literally connecting with one of the most diverse teams, but that room as a whole was not diverse. And I was confused of why there was not more of us in that room, because it was free everything, free food all night, access to, I'm talking about everything you could need to hack, we had. And I'm talking about top of the line stuff, coffee coming fresh, ice pouring on the Red Bull. So I was just confused of why, and then the prize or whatever. But long story short, that was my first experience that led me to seek another one, which was Give Back Hack. And that, that's where I brought the idea. It was called the Landlord Tenant Portal at that time, but I won resources from that competition. I got my startup money, some pre-seed money. Then that led to me going into an accelerator. It ended up me doing more iterations and more development and meeting more people that had the skill sets that led to more pre-seed money, and and then I got to a point where, yes, I was probably one or two or three probably Black representations, but I had got to a point where I needed to find more Black technologists that was willing to break down what I really needed to do versus giving me a price tag on what they wanted to develop. And that's when I came into Black Tech 614, Black Tech Columbus, and got exposed to the most Black technologists that I ever been exposed to, that not only took me in and broke down what I needed to do and how I needed to build and what I needed to look out for when it came to outsourcing your tech and how to build a team and things, and really learn. And that's the power of us in numbers, you know. And I would be remiss to not share that with this group, because that was huge. And unfortunately, I did not have the money at that time to keep that talent that was around me, that was helping me, you know, with my idea, you know, and moving that forward. And, you know, I think, but at the end of the day, it gave me a good start and the knowledge to move forward, to know what I needed to do and, you know, ultimately execute and get to where I am today. So I think that's worth celebrating and talking about, how all this stuff really just kind of interconnects, and we're here today in this chat. So thank you for allowing me to share that.
Tanja, do you mind if I speak up for a second? I really appreciate everything that you guys said. And Jay, I appreciate what you said too earlier. And it comes down for me, at least in Ohio and definitely Central Ohio, the networking here is different. Everybody wants to help each other. I've reached out to Black leaders, cold calls, when I was at Scott's Miracle Grow asking help for a diversity project. And it landed me at Ohio State working with, you know, the associate to the dean. You know, Mr. Rodgers, I've met him at a National Black MBA meeting, and I've watched his career ever since then, and he's always checked in. So I've seen the rest of you out, and I've heard your name, Ms. Mansaray, like from other people in the startup community, but the networking is what has helped me, and it makes me want to give back when it comes to that, through connections or anything. If you know me and you know me personally, or some people laugh like, oh, you know so many people. No, I know people who have actually met, who have actually helped me. Somebody introduced me to a gentleman that runs Collaborate and Elevate, and he helped me with part of my little dog treat business, but he opened up a world of all of these Black startups, and it was another free event. And when I came in, everybody's pointing at each other like, hey, do we know each other? What's going on? I went home and I told my family, yo, I felt like for the first time, I saw where my community was, in the same place that I was. It was all about networking. I wouldn't have gotten there if I wasn't networking. I had Jerry there. Jerry was already in Renter Mentor and some other people supporting me that night. That's all you want to do, is support them too. So it's all about the networking. When you meet somebody, just as Mr. Rodgers said, remember who they are. Just as Dr. Green said, go up to them, say hello, and try to stay professionally connected with them. You never know what that might lead to. That's how I've been able to be here. I got it on my own merits, but that's how I actually proved my value to big tech, because I was actually told by my white boss, we hired you because of your network. We hired you because of your community. Yes, you have the credentials, but that's what put you over the edge. That's because of Central Ohio. I wouldn't have been able to do that on my own. So it's important to make sure you make those connections.
Nice. Hey, Tanja, this is a Black History event. I would love to lift up three things. Number one, Ohio X hosting this thing. Ohio X is killing the game, y'all. They just know what they're doing. And I'm a big fan. Chris calls and asks me to speak. I speak. Done. Because they are lifting up all Ohio technologies, and they deserve credit for that. Number two, we have some Black history on the panel here in terms of one, Dr. Tanja Coverdale, who has been killing the game as far as her affiliation with multiple HBCUs. She built the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network, an extraordinary infrastructure feat. And, you know, she doesn't brag about it or anything like that, but on a national scale, Tanja has been doing some things that people need to know about when we're going to talk about Black history and technology and in Ohio. And then finally, Irvin will always try and get off of a call without someone bringing up or something, some of what he's done. And I think representation is great. What Irvin has done is gone the next level and hire people. When he was the state CIO, it was not his job to hire more Black women CIOs, many, if not most of whom had not been a CIO before. So he cracked and shattered glass ceilings and helped people go into those positions, but he got away with it because no one told him he couldn't do it. And he helped these Black women get into position. No one can ever take that away from our community again. That's multiple Black women who now have CIO in their title. That's how you do this. And I, you know, Irvin, every time I get on with you, my brother, that's money where your mouth is. A lot of us can talk about it, but not that many people are doing the hires. And you put more people in place at that time that we need to acknowledge as Black history. We need to remember this moment of your tenure in that position as a time when we boosted. We did what we had to do because we're working together. So wanted to lift that up.
Go ahead.
No, I want to just say hats off to Irvin. And this is the first time I've met all of you. But one of the things that I wanted to just call out on that last statement is that, you know, I live here in Northeast Ohio, and I understand that, you know, DE&I is a topic of conversation. In my 35 years career, I have never heard the level of discussion around DE&I that we're hearing today. I mean, and I think that's exciting. The flip side of that is that, you know, I recently wrote a Cranes article about the need for DE&I in all levels of the innovation ecosystem, because what happens, you find a lot of times is people talk about it, but they're really talking about entry level stuff. They're talking about high risk newcos. They're not talking about the CEOs of, you know, medium and large size companies, the CIOs, the head of the economic development, you know, organizations. I mean, that still remains, you know, it's you know, it remains as it is. And so I think there is an importance that we have to stress of DE&I in all levels of the innovation ecosystem, not just newcos and not just entry level, you know, engineers and technologists and so on. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I love that, because that brings us right to where I wanted to end us and wrap us up today with our lightning round. But before I do that, powerful people that I admire, and I'm honored to share this time with you, people who are really moving the needle, making a difference, not just with your seat at the table eating, but making sure tables are set for other people to eat too. Not just breaking glass ceilings and letting people get rained on, but breaking glass ceilings and providing elevators for people to move up. And not just paving new roads for people, for them to go on in their cars, paving the road and bringing people on in minivans full of people along this road. That's the real work, and that's who we are, and that's why all of you, all of us, and many unseen are so worth celebrating, because we are Black history in Ohio. We're doing it. And I'm just so proud of all of us and all the work that we will continue to do together. So lightning round question, just kind of really quick going around to end us up. What are your hopes for Black tech in Ohio? And I'll start with Irvin.
You know, one thing that I would say is that I'm a big LinkedIn user. I believe in positive energy. If you put it out, it catches on. What I like to see is this not happen just during the course of February, but I saw something that was special and unique. Doug, you're right. Ohio X, Chris Berry and team are killing it. But I saw an interaction that took it to the next level that I want to keep seeing take place. And that was Dr. Coverdale and Chris Berry doing the news, what's happening, talking about Intel, talking about all this cool stuff. We need to see more of that. and not just during, February. Black history is Black history. It's a part of American history. So I'm excited. I'm hiring. I'm going to throw that out there. I'm hiring a VP of digital and customer delivery. I'm hiring at all sorts of levels within the organization. We are at our root, very, very proud of pushing D&I. So if you want to come to a company that is a culture and you want to step up your shoe game, come holler at your boy.
Thank you. Jerry, your hopes for Black tech in Ohio?
My hopes for Black tech in Ohio is that we see more Black and brown founders get funded, more Black and brown founders bootstrapping their business and getting respected for their work and what they're doing. It's important because the majority is getting, all type of capital and investments and deals that we're not really getting, and our ideas are just as good. So it's important that representation, that I do say, yes, I am the founder and CEO of Renter Mentor. This is important, that everyone that looks like me can do this as well, and our path, we just got to keep working. But I do want that path to continuously to get easier and easier, and I continue to push. So that's my hopes. Thanks.
Thank you, Danielle.
My hope for Black tech in the future would be courage and collaboration, courage to actually have the next generation, as well as the current generation, the older generation, not be afraid to apply for that tech job. At my job, we hire all ages. We don't care. You got the experience, we want you. Another plug for Meta, look us up. But also collaboration, right? It's important for big tech to collaborate with Black Tech 614, for us to be in these conversations as well, because we want to make sure that we are also bringing in and serving the community that we actually have customers, as. And it's important, but we only do that together. That's how my career was built, was collaboration, was people being kind, networking. So we must collaborate in order to get each other to the next level. You have to pay it forward all the time.
Okay. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks. So my hope for the future of Black tech is that as Black people, we keep doing what we're doing. In my role in Black Tech Columbus, in my experience, I find that the people of color that we meet, the Black people that we meet, are doing the work. They're studying, they're getting the experience, they're trying to gain the skill. And I think the only thing that we could do better is just doing it together. You don't have to do it in a silo. You don't have to be a hero. You don't have to carry it all on your back. You don't have to know it all. Just reach out to the person that's next to you, and you will go so much farther, so much faster, with so much more support and less stress. So my hope is more community.
Love it. Doug?
My hope for Black tech going forward is equity and ownership. And I don't mean the equity that you and I get treated the same. I mean the equity that we have shares in the company, ownership. And I think it's awesome that we can get people jobs, but I'd much rather get you ownership in the company. Economic empowerment, generational wealth building. That's my hope. And my second hope is, let's get into the boardroom. We made it this far. There's another door over there. Let's kick that one down too.
Loving it. Round us out.
Yeah. So my hope is that, as terrible as COVID has been, it's really opened our eyes to the ability to collaborate over vast distances through media like this. And, I'm thrilled and inspired, as old as I am, I'm thrilled and inspired to hear people in this room talking. And I haven't met any of you all, but the thing is that, one of the things I find, I've been in Ohio for, only about 15 years, which is a mere babe, but, we tend to silo, there's Northeast Ohio, there's Central Ohio. And, with the use of these tools, Zoom or whatever tools people are using, we can meet, and we can go meet across the state. It doesn't matter that I'm, outside of Cleveland and you all are in Columbus and some of you in Cincinnati. We can meet. And I think that I would like to see the communities, continue to use these tools to collaborate and sort of share ideas. This is super inspiring for me. So.
And my hope for Black Tech in Ohio is for everyone within reach of our voices to ask the question why, and to continue to put pressure on the structures that exist, the current structures that exist that make it difficult for people to have equitable access in technology. And I mean, it can be anybody. Black, white, and different. I want you to ask, why aren't there more Tonjas and Alberts and Dougs and Jays and Danielles and Irvins and Jerrys in your space? We know people like all of us. Why aren't they here? Just get in the rooms and don't be afraid. Be fearless and be fierce and ask the question, why? So with that, Chris in Ohio X, thank you so much for this forum. Thank you for doing all that you do for us in Ohio. I can hardly wait for Black History Month next time. I think we need to have this again in March, April, May, June, and July. We might need a series of this because this was just the beginning. And to all of you, stay doing what you do. We're so lucky to have you in Ohio. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tanja.